Hi everybody, and welcome to another piano review here at Merriam Pianos. My name is Stu Harrison, and today we're covering C.Bechstein's famous 192 Grand Piano from their concert series. We're going to be talking about that delicate action that it has, the beautiful tone, how they build the piano. I'll be doing a little bit of playing on it, of course, sharing my musical impressions. We've also done other videos with this piano where all we do is play it, so you don't have to listen to any talking, you just take the sound in. And if it's the first time to the channel, please do subscribe. We really appreciate the support, and we try and reply to each and every comment. Let's get started right away. So let's get right into this MP192 from Bechstein. Now, this is part of a series called the Masterpiece series or the Concert Artist series. I've seen both kind of thrown around. But essentially, it's a collection of several grand pianos that's right at the very, very top of the manufacturing quality range that Bechstein is capable of. So the 192 kind of sits right in the middle. It's about a 6'3", 6'4". Above that is a B212, which is there's 7 foot. Then there's a semi-concert grand, which I think is the 232, and then of course the B278, the full concert grand. There is one size underneath this one, which is the 167. So we've got a 167, 192, 212, and so on and so forth. I really, really like the size of this instrument, and there's a couple of features about it that also kind of excite me as a piano player. Really like talking to with other piano players, customers alike. And so let's just quickly kind of go over the background of the instrument and some of those critical features, and then we're going to dive in and talk about the action, sort of my impressions of the touch and the features behind the action, and of course the sound of the instrument. Several of the features on this piano which really excite people when they hear about it is the soundboard. That's one that I think is definitely worth noting. The spruce off this soundboard comes from the Val di Fiemme, and I hope I'm pronouncing that properly for people who really know their Italian or their Italian geography, but it's basically the Fiemme Valley, Val di Fiemme. This is exactly the same source of spruce that Stradivarius used for his violins. Fazioli, who's another piano manufacturer, sources their soundboards from there. And of course, Bechstein gets the wood for their concert level pianos from there as well. So it's a very exclusive spruce that gets used. It's very consistent wood. They are able to dry it to a very low percentage of humidity, and it's very light as well. And all of that equals a soundboard, which is extremely lively. It doesn't take a lot of energy to activate that soundboard, and you can hear that in spades when you're playing this piano. Very, very low amount of energy needed to activate the whole resonating structure of the instrument. Yeah, super active. I mean, very, very responsive instrument. So part of that is coming from the spruce that they choose to use on the soundboard. I think it's very cool that there's that link to the Stradivarius history. A second thing that they're using, which is common amongst some of the very, very best pianos in the world, would be a vertically laminated bridge. That's where you have multiple plies of highly engineered hardwood that are all laminated together to kind of form this vertical highway to transmit the vibration or the energy that the strings have, and then those are going down through the bridge and to the soundboard. So that's really kind of the pathway that the energy travels along before the soundboard activates, and that's really the majority of what we hear. So that vertical lamination, which is actually something that Steinway first innovated more than 100 years ago, is pretty much considered best practice today in the finest instruments. It's got a maple cap on top of the bridge to sort of collect that top energy and really anchor the bridge pins, which is also really critical. So a very stable instrument, but something that's capable of transmitting huge amounts of energy from the string down into that soundboard as we talked about, the soundboard being that of the Val de Fiemme, same as the Stradivarius. Another couple of interesting features that are really worth mentioning. This uses a treble bell. Now, people who are familiar with Steinway model B, A, D, I think that might be the only ones that have it, possibly the model O, but I'm sure somebody in the comments can correct me on that. The treble bell is a piece of iron. It kind of looks like a cone that's affixed to the inside of the rim. And really what that is, I mean, part of it is that it allows for a really precise placement of the rim, you know, to the plate. And that's kind of, I think, the official reason why it's there. But unofficially, most piano builders, most technicians recognize that this is actually a way to slightly apply some pressure from the bottom of the rim so that it pinches the top in and actually gives a bit of crown on a soundboard. In a part of the piano, it's really, really hard to get crown. That, of course, has everything to do with the projection and the amount of energy that the soundboard has. So this 192 has that crown, and it's got the Val de Fiemme, it's got the vertically laminated bridges. On top of that, we also have a combination of capo bar in the very, very top two sections of the treble. We've got A-graphs for really, really nice, precise tenor range. And of course, the MP192 also benefiting from Bechstein's brand new hammer, internal hammer factory or hammer manufacturing. They're making their own hammers. First time in many, many years that they've done that. Most manufacturers aren't tackling that, but that's something that they've done. And so the 192 actually has its own set of hammers. This doesn't use the same hammers that goes on the 212 or the 167. They're exactly weighted and exactly shaped for this model, and they're using dark walnut, which is kind of unusual. It's a very, very premium wood to use. It's a little bit lighter, but it's also more dense, and Bechstein really loves the particular tonal quality that using that walnut does. Let's get into the action, because when you sit down in front of a Bechstein or in front of any piano, the action is the connection point between everything that you're hearing up here and everything that you're hoping the piano is about to do. It's like it's the mechanical interface. This is like the computer keyboard where we're telling the computer what to do. Well, this is the opportunity or the interface where we can tell the piano what we want it to do. So how even from one key to another it is, and how perfectly well balanced so that there's a nice even curve between our input and the output that we get is really difficult. I mean, we're talking about hundredths of a gram to really get this absolutely perfect. And this instrument has over 500 hours of manufacturing time applied to it, and a decent chunk of those is actually the assembly, the weighting, and the regulating of the action that goes into this piano. So I can tell you, even right out of the box, without touching these pianos, they are perfect. When you sit down to play them, they don't need any lubrication whatsoever. They need almost no voicing or no voicing at all. Their factory voicing is done at a very, very high level. And of course, the feeling of the action is beautifully fluid. It's weighted perfectly, and just a real delight to play. You will love spending time on really any part of the concert class, but the 192, as I said, it's one of my favorite scale designs. I really just think it's beautifully balanced. Moving on to the tone, and I just mentioned this on a review we did of the Concert 8. If there's one single word that I could use to sum up what you get here, it's color. Or controlled color. There are so many overtones that you're getting off this piano. And in my opinion, it's a very, very distinct profile. A lot of people don't realize that piano tone is actually made up of 7 or 8 harmonics that are all combining for your ear to hear what it hears as a single note. So when I play that C or that G or that A flat, you're not hearing just one defined pitch, one single frequency. You're actually hearing multiples of that frequency and specific harmonics of that frequency in different ratios. And so there's the first partial, which is, you know, the fundamental. But if you were to only hear that, it would actually sound almost like a thud. All of that extra color, that shape on top, is a specific combination of the second partial, third partial, fourth partial, sometimes referred to as harmonics as well. So different pianos have these different combinations. And so what I really, really love about the Bechstein is it's almost a perfectly even distribution of the volume of all of those harmonics, right from the fundamental right up through the 7th harmonic. Different pianos tend to emphasize either the very top of the harmonic range as well as the fundamental, and sort of cut out some in the middle. Some don't even make any attempt to do that at all, you know, in the lower range, because there's just not enough engineering and time and, quite frankly, budget to apply that type of scrutiny to the instrument. But color, and when I'm saying that, I'm hearing just all of the different shades of tone in there. It's beautiful. Yeah. The other thing we're getting is lots of liveliness, and again, you kind of invent your own language sometimes to talk about pianos, but this bass is definitely very lively. It's extremely active. It really comes, it starts to project. It feels like it almost wants to play itself once you get the bass going on this instrument. And so you're not constantly having to work hard to get that bass projecting. Super clear, almost, I'd say, honestly, on the 192, some of those bass notes remind me of like a really good Steinway B7 footer. Yeah, absolutely lovely. Treble is very delicate. The treble is not as pronounced as something like the 212, or even the Concert 8 has, to my ear, has a bit more projection out of the treble, but not to say that it's unbalanced. It really is just a beautiful curve from the bottom to the top of this instrument. So I hope you've enjoyed the summary of this beautiful C.Bechstein 192. We've covered some of its more interesting features. We've talked about the action, we've talked about the sound. Be sure to check out just the playing video, because of course there's a lot of people who would like to just sit back, relax, and listen to this rather than listen to me, form their own opinions from just listening to the instrument. So be sure to look at the link in the description where you'll just see the playing video or playing videos for the 192. And of course, if this is the first video you've seen, like we said, we really would appreciate a click on that subscribe button. Follow us for all things piano. Thank you very much for your time. Hope you've enjoyed the video. I'm Stu Harrison from Merriam Pianos, and we'll see you back next time.